Remember how we first started this?
Yeah. Web3 games.
Yeah, I mean, but like, it was December, I think, and you came to me and you said that you had this idea.
Yeah, it was like, I didn't even have the idea. I was like, let's just fucking start the podcast. And then we started the podcast.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised because with everything that we do, we're like super excited at first, and then we just raw dog it and leave it,
Yeah, but I think this is the first thing that we did that we literally just kept on going, right?
Because I think we enjoy this.
Yeah, I enjoyed yapping. I enjoyed talking. I never enjoyed cameras though, so it's kind of weird, but still. But in that first episode that we had, we talked about 2 Web3 games that I was in contact with.
That was the second episode.
I ignore the pilot altogether. It's just us yapping about both.
Never ignore the foundation
Yeah.
of what built what you have.
I respect it, but I just ignore it, right? So
you don't watch it every night before you go to
no,
sleep?
I watch Rick and Morty. But do you remember the Web3 games?
Of course I remember. And the reason why I also go back to that episode a lot is because that was the first time a Web3 based company supported us, and it felt nice.
I think it was the first, literally the first company that actually said, yeah, we're going to support these guys. We had only like 100 or 200 followers.
Yep.
And we didn't really have a community, right? We just started this shit. And yeah, that was Voya Games and with their game like Angry Dynomites. And today we have the guest, the co-founder of Voya Games, so Oliver, which personally, I love what this guy has done even before crypto.
Yeah.
Because the guy was massive even before crypto. He just started, his startup just sold for like hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, we're going to get all into that, in just a bit.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well, and I have a lot of things that I want to ask him. So without further ado, I think we should hop on the call.
Yep. Hello, Oliver.
Hey, good to be here again.
Yeah, perfect. You were not Voya Games. Angry Dynomites was the first project we talked about. In our episode back in February, I think. But now we have you like right here live, and it's just we're gonna have a lot of questions to talk about. So, but before we get into like all the technical things and like the game in itself and the project, we want to know more about you and like what you did before crypto, how you joined crypto, and it's everything basically.
Okay, yeah. Then I start from the beginning. So hi everyone. My name is Ollie, or Revo, as I call it on my Twitter handle. I used to be a gamer. Since I was small, I was always fascinated by computers and games itself. Played a lot of Counter-Strike, played a lot of strategy games, MMOs, and later on switched to mobile gaming. And then at some point, some friends of mine approached me and asked me to if we want to develop games. And I never could imagine developing games on my own, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity. And so we were all not experienced at all in game development, but we had a lot of passion for it. So we developed a super complicated game that never made it actually to release. So it totally failed, but then we decided to build a very simple game, and that was called Idle Miner Tycoon, idle mobile free-to-play game with Colibri games. And we basically started in a student's apartment, released the game, it worked out pretty well. We could generate the first revenues, then hired the first people out of the revenues. We're growing very fast, went from a few people in a student's apartment to an office in Berlin in just 2 years with almost 90 people. Well, it was 3 years. After 3 years, we were 90 people. And then basically grew further and got acquired by Ubisoft in 2020. And I left in 21 the company in order to kind of do do new things, or at least relax a bit first. But it didn't take too long until I wanted to start something new. And yeah, I was always interested in cryptography and especially cryptocurrencies. And yeah, so was during my studies, I was already looking into Bitcoin, bought a few here and there. Unfortunately, not enough. But I think that's the story of a lot of people. And yeah, but then picked it up after I left Colibri Games and was looking into especially Ethereum proof of stake that was announced back then. And as I find it super interesting to move from proof of work to proof of stake, and then went down the rabbit hole, read a lot of crypto white papers, actually went really deep, did some DeFi stuff, but ultimately ended up in gaming again. And yeah, everyone was talking about Axie Infinity and how it's booming. And so I thought like I want to try it out as well. But it took me 2 hours to set up the game and buy the Axies. Um, and then I only played for a few hours until I stopped. But because the game was on chain and at least like the Axies and the tokens and the scholarship models were a big thing back then. So I also started a few scholarship models or scholarships with people from the Philippines. And yeah, it was for me very eye-opening, I would say, because like it basically broke the boundaries of the single game into like kind of an whole new world where you also basically game on a whole different level, I would say. And that got me super excited and tried out all the other Web3 games that were popular back then. But for me, it was always had the feeling that there two things were missing. It was like the setup user experience, and I come from a world where you need to convince a player to play your game in 5 seconds, and nobody will spend the time in setting up 2 hours. That was the first thing that I wanted to make different. And the second thing was like to really see like how we can innovate on the gameplay mechanics with Web3 in mind. So basically build up a game from the ground up with Web3 in mind, but also make it high quality and fun that we can have the users playing for a long time. And that's how I started in Voya Games. We're developing the Angry Dynomites IP with our first title, Draft World. We've been on the testnet for a few, actually more than a year, and then released recently on the Ronin mainnet in the end of July. And yeah, I'll make a quick pause here.
Well, let me just say that I love idle games, and I heard like a developer like so many years ago, and he told me what makes games good is how difficult they are and how challenging they are. But I was like, why should that always be the point? I mean, why can't I just have a game where I can just unwind myself at the end of the day and basically not be stressed about from the game itself, you know? So I absolutely love, you know, idle games, and I really support what you guys have been building and have built in the past as well. So I want to ask you, like, this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, I mean, how was it? Because just thinking about the user behavior, because there's so many metrics that you can look at, and I believe that would be different on Web 2 games and different on Web 3 games, because in Web 3 games you would have to look at how they use, for example, the assets within the game. So how different is the approach that you guys have to basically pursue, comparing, you know, from the Web 2 background that you have?
Yeah, it's actually quite different, because I think the first thing is like Web3 is still, if you compare it to the global gaming market, a niche audience, right? It's not like that we have billions of players in Web3, but the players that are in there, they are very valuable in general from a lot of different aspects. First is they're super engaged in the games. I've never seen something like this before. Before I played the first Web3 game, like how how the community is interacting, writing in Discord, and so on and so forth. Second, they're way more willing to spend in the game and then basically put money in. That's also very interesting. And I also still have, I don't know why, but every time I buy an NFT for a couple of $100, I sometimes don't really think about it if I should buy it or not. But then playing a Web2 free-to-play mobile game, spending $10, I think like, should I actually buy it? So I'm not sure what it is. I have to figure it out myself, but at least like the spending behavior is way different. And then of course the whole economy around it. So everything is public, everything is more or less tradable, exchangeable. You can send it to all your friends and so on and so forth. A lot of the restrictions that are helpful also in Web2 game development are not there anymore, which on the one hand side is a blessing because you can offer so many new things to the players, but on the other hand, also comes with a lot of challenges for the game developers and making an economy that is not too limited, but also kind of still in a way controllable and sustainable, which of course is the holy grail of getting a Web3 economy. And yeah, so these are the things that probably need to keep in mind and really focus on when starting a Web3 gaming company. I think the other thing is like also not getting distracted and also have some more resilience. The space is still comparably early. The tech is not, it's getting better, of course, but it's still, there's still some issues around user experience, about like also developer experience and so on and so forth. So have some resilience to go through it and think about like, okay, how it will look like even in a few years in the future. And second is also don't get bogged down by hypes. There were many hypes here and there. Things are popping up, Telegram games popping up, AI agents popping up, and so on and so forth. And I think chasing hypes, I always think like most of the times you are too late. Second, it's not something sustainable you build. And that's also something to keep in mind. Rather think from first principle thinking about like the future of how you envision Web3 and really try to double down on building this.
I think hypes are like the biggest issue with crypto right now, because the industry, although it's matured quite a lot, speculation and hypes are like the biggest driving force, in my opinion, in most of the launches, most of the products, most of the protocols, and most of the Web3 games as well. And I want to touch upon what you said about Axie Infinity, because me as well, back in 2021, I think, when it was like quite a big thing, I was trying to get into, but the entry barrier was high. I applied for some scholarships that some people were hosting. I couldn't get that, and it was like, and they had like these Google forms, right? Nothing official from Axie Infinity itself. So I think from that time to today, we've matured, especially when it comes to Web3 games, because let's just take a look at Craftworld, right? You guys have everything on chain, and I think all of the resources are exchangeable with Dino coins, and now Dino coin is live if I'm not mistaken. But like, we're still early, as you just said. I mean, the technology is still maturing. The user experience needs to get better. It has to get better if we want to like target more people, especially normies coming from well-established games, right? Like if I play GTA or if I play League of Legends or Counter-Strike, and I come and try to find something of similar value in Web3, it's really hard to find that, because even technology, like, it just doesn't allow that. But I'm really like, it's really amazing what you guys have been building. And I'm not saying just because you're here with us today. I keep telling my friends, like, one of the few Web3 games that actually does it right is you guys. So how did you manage? Did you like hire people when it comes to like in-game economy? How did you manage to balance that and like, I don't know, give a good experience while also keeping it manageable?
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing about Web3 gaming in particular is that there's there are not much, or actually there are no blueprints. Actually, there's some best practices here and there, but you basically need to think from ground up because a lot of people tried things. Most of them sadly failed. We need to experiment more. We need to find out more how things are working. And that's what we did as well. And for me, it was always important to try and experiment as fast as possible. We released our game after a few months of development on the testnet in order to gather feedback as fast as possible to see how an economy turns out. What are the issues from the user experience side? How can we do better? And then, of course, having very smart people in the team. We are still a very small team, 10 people, but I guess we really heads down into figuring these things out. We have a game designer that is more or less only focused on the balancing part of the game, but we have also very good engineers. I think the game, at least I think personally, it looks very cool, like this retro pixels art style with a more modern touch. And yeah, I mean, with that we just basically went in there, tried out things, failed also often, tried to make it better, and invested in a lot of tools and technology inside as well in order to make it as seamless as possible, especially like the onboarding side. For us it was always clear, like, okay, we can't let the user set up a wallet on their own, even if they want to set up one. It's like super hard to do, and so we invested a lot into this smart wallet account abstraction technology, and I think by now we have a very decent system that makes it super easy for players to get into Web3.
Yeah, and I fully agree with you, especially, to not be baited by the hype as well, because I can talk about myself. Like in 2021, I would play like these Web3 games because I was sold the idea that I can make money while playing, not because I wanted to play the game themselves. And I like your approach to have like this fun first game, and then the revenue side and whatever you can monetize or earn from it, that's a byproduct of it. But like, people should play the game because they like the game. And I've seen so many companies and even Web3 games in recent years, especially the last 12 months, they've moved, for example, into Solana, but not because they believe that the chain actually promises something that other chains don't, but because they were led by the idea that since Solana is having more liquidity, they will also, earn more revenue and stuff like that. So this relates to my next question, which is why the Ronin chain? I'm pretty sure you've received this question quite a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but very happy to answer it. So of course we put a lot of effort into looking what will be our new home base. Before going there, we were on a testnet for over a year, but we also didn't want to stay there for too long because on mainnet a lot of things change again, and we don't want to be in isolation too long. But yeah, we took the time. We looked at all the major chains. For us, it was always very important on the community aspect. Tech is also not neglectable, but it's becoming more and more of a commodity. So we actually looked at how the community at the chains look like and how the partners from the chain can help us to attract the community into our game. And we thought Ronin is out there for a long time. The community, like, it actually started with X Infinity, which I think was around in 2018 already, I think, when it started. So they have like 7 years almost of building up a community, which most of the newer chains definitely don't have. And they have a very loyal community base. They stayed there even though like there was this big hack, I think in 22 with the 600 million being drained, and and they also don't have any direct on-chain airdrop incentives or something like this, which a lot of other chains still have, and which we also seen in the past. That a lot of users were leaving after that again, after the airdrop, and also the interaction with the Ronin team itself and the game. Some of the games founders I talked to on Ronin was very positive too, very professional. I think like how they think about like community building and basically incentivizing the community in a way which is sustainable and long lasting is I haven't seen this before, and yeah, very happy to now be part of this. And the last thing that we value a lot is like being in a community that values also experimentation and innovation. I think like if you look at the games, I think still the most interesting games in Web3 are actually on Ronin. And yeah, being part of this ecosystem helps us to connect faster and more easy with these developers as well. And yeah, so this way, a lot of green check marks for Ronin, and we decided to launch there.
Yeah, and I think Ronin at the time is like the gaming chain, right? I mean, they're focused on that. So, in my opinion, as long as they keep building, they're gonna continue being the leading gaming chain. Because I love Solana as well. I love Ethereum as well. I love most of the chains as well. I'm not like the guy that chooses teams, right? Wherever, if I were a developer or a founder, wherever I could build, I would have built, right? But the thing is, I think the more time tested the project or a chain or a platform is, the better, especially for a startup. And in my opinion, I mean, every Web3 game is still a startup. So when it comes to you guys, what are your plans on expansion in terms of like games and because I remember back when we last talked, I think a few months back, actually, you mentioned that you're trying to get a whole ecosystem around the craft world. I mean, Angry Dynomites, and then starting from craft world. So could you like fill us in a bit?
Yeah, so we want to establish something what we call a truly player-owned economy. And yeah, in Craft World, we have a lot of resources. I think you teased it a bit earlier. We have, I think, by now, with the recent event that we're running, we have like, I think, 35 or even more resources on chain, each of them as an ERC20 token, and all of them tradable through the Katana DEX, which is the main DEX on Ronin, but also in-game, because we basically make it possible for you to operate Cardano DEX trades in the game itself, so it don't even need to leave it. And so we basically want to enable this huge DeFi integrations into the game and gamify it. So we actually 10x the number of on-chain trades on Ronin once we launched. So it was from 100,000 weekly trades, I think, to up to 1 million. And by that, we also consumed like 50 to 60% of all gas fees on Ronin. So yeah, we really want to double down on this and kind of have DeFi as a very integral part of the player-owned economy, but then also the interoperability side of things. So right now we have an event running with one of the meme coin or meme communities on Ronin called Ronke, and we are integrating their token as like a core resource of our game. We can then basically craft a whole many other resources out, and we did a very deep IP integration as well, and the community loves it, is super engaged. There's a huge prize pool funded by the community itself. I think almost $10,000 is in the pot now, and so it's very, very cool to have this interoperability, and we want to take this interoperability actually a step further, so that we are not just integrating tokens from other chains, but like every token that is basically in this ecosystem can be part of all other games in the ecosystem. So you can basically use some of the resources from Craft World. Let's say you can use steel, for example, to build a sword in another game, and in this game you can fight monsters and then basically like loot gold, for example, that can be then used again in Craft World to forge some jewelry or anything else. And this can be taken endlessly, and this will create like basically an ecosystem of connected games, not just through like the same infrastructure, but through an economic principles. Because then you really need to think about like, okay, if I get this, like, do I buy it from someone else, or do I play the game, or do I sell something else in order to buy more resources from the other game? And all of this is basically owned by the players. We are just providing the platform. All the liquidity for the pools for trading is provided by the players. We are not interfering. We are not minting any resources out of thin air. Everything is basically from the players themselves, and they can decide all the prices and how it all kind of works together. And we already have like 2 other game experience. Like one is about to line up, and one is a bit in the past, but we were gonna reuse it in the future. Because before we went live on Ronin, we did yeah, I always hate this word, but it was like it's more easy to explain, a play to airdrop campaign, where you could basically complete quests inside Craft World in order to get crystals. And with the crystals, you can then use it in Project Voyager, which is our name for it. And it was more like a real game than just like a play to airdrop system. So you could use your crystals to upgrade one of your engineers to build a rocket ship. You can use it to buy chests. You could use it for all other things. And this way we call this already like an own game. And in this game, you could already use resources from Craft World itself. So you could basically use like the steel and wood in order to upgrade your equipment pieces. And this is like kind of the very first interaction in this player-owned economy, like connecting 2 games together through resources. And one thing that is lining up is what we call Dinogotchi, which is a Tamagotchi-based game where you can basically feed the Tamagotchi. The Tamagotchi will be an AI agent, which is representative in Twitter, but also owns its own wallet. So you can basically send the resources to the Tamagotchi. It will consume it, and then basically generate a shitcoin. So. So this Bitcoin can then itself decides who to distribute it to, and this can be then used again in Craft World, for example, as a fertilizer in order to plant crops. And yeah, but this can be taken endlessly, and we just don't want to be like the developer of all of these game experiences. We also want to see like how other developers can pick up some of the resources and how we can support them in order to help us build this reality.
Yeah, like just hearing you talk about this, my inner child is very satisfied on a lot of aspects, because like when you think about some of the most successful games in the history of games, like Atis, he plays Minecraft a lot, and I was thinking about it, like why Minecraft was so successful, and one of the main reasons is because the possibilities are endless, basically. And like just thinking about adding in-game economies, like so many possibilities, like so many new dimensions that people can experiment with and do stuff with, and it's not just a game at the end of the day. It's a whole different layer of maybe making it a bit more complex, but making it super interesting at the same time. And I just can't wait to see like all of it come into fruition. But like Atis asked you about the expansion and all that. Now I want to ask you about physical expansion, maybe like in terms of IP, because there's been games that have seen a lot of success simply because they, for example, made a movie about it, or launched a TV show related to it, or comics or whatever. So is that an area that you guys see that there's potential growth and could potentially also onboard more normies, let's say, in your ecosystem?
Of course, yeah. So we already have a bunch of merch that we give out from time to time to the community. So almost loyal users, or we are doing some physical events every, like, I would say 1.5 years. and also there's a lot of merch being given out, and the community really loves it. I think that's already a good sign. Our long-term goal is to build out the Angry Dynamites brand. We think it has its own character, its own style, and it's yeah. I personally feel it's always just fun thinking about like the story and lore around it, and yeah, we'll definitely build this out further as well. But right now we are really focused on the game itself, and we want to ship more features soon. Now that we are live on the mainnet, that was taking a lot of efforts in the past months, but now we can go back and shipping new features, and that's what we're doubling down. But long term, yeah, we really want to build out this brand.
Here's an idea, an uncalled idea.
Yeah, of course.
from me. Since like it's a game that's pixelated, like Craft World, and then the NFTs as well, you can make a partnership with Lego. Just have the game and in itself, and the NFTs and the characters like this in a collection.
Yeah, maybe you can exchange your Craft World resources into Lego blocks.
Yeah, and like just maybe random collections, like the Legos would have this, let's say, QR code embedded inside that you can redeem an NFT or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. So
no, it's there's a lot of I think the cool thing is about Web3 that it has so many possibilities, and I also have so many ideas running through my head. It's just like I can only work on so many, but I think like tying physical assets to digital assets, I think it's also very interesting and can also be very well applied to video games itself. So I think there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, and like what would be one feature that, I mean, let's say the community should know about right now? I'm trying to extract alpha from you as in every way possible. So if you're allowed to tell us.
I'm currently working on so we always had different steps in the game which we all called eras. So we had era 1, era 2, and we announced era 3 some time ago. We didn't have so much time to work on it yet. We implemented some of the things there, but the main parts of it are not there yet. And we needed to pause it a bit because of this mainnet launch. But yeah, now I'm working on an era 3.1, which will be a feature set that we will develop in the next couple of months. And one of the first things, and that's the alpha for now at least, is to establish a grid-based player base. So right now you have a few buildings in your base that are very static, and you can use it to operate certain things like doing trades and stuff like this. But we want to basically change it in a way where it's basically a grid, so you can place your buildings freely. You can add more or remove more, and you can then basically also expand it over time. So in the beginning, the space will be limited, and the higher level up, you will get more space, and you will basically, this will be the foundation of introducing a lot of new buildings that will add to the meta game of Craft World, and also adding more decorative items, so you can basically flex your player base to others, and especially on the masterpieces. Right now we are giving out in-game avatars for high-ranking players, but we could also give out more cosmetic items or statues in this player base, and that's something that we are right now exploring. But there's a lot more that will come with era 3.1, but that will be revealed some weeks later.
I mean, that sounds super exciting. Like, I want to hear your take on something particular that it bugs me a lot of times because I'm at a point in my life where I find it very difficult to explain to non-Web3 people what I do. Like they ask me something
Mm.
about crypto, all they know about is Bitcoin, for example. Now, thinking of the gaming industry in itself, and especially Web3 games, uh, is it difficult to pitch what you guys build to traditional devs? I mean, I saw that you recently won an award that might have made things easier, maybe, but like in general, is it like super difficult to explain to them why these in-game economies and what you guys are trying to build are essential in order to maybe revitalize the Web3 gaming industry in itself?
Of course, it's something new, something that hasn't built before, so it's hard to find other examples that are basically tying into the same thing. I approach it always not from the crypto perspective, but more from the potentials around like what we talked about, this player-owned economy. We've built a light paper around player-owned economy and how we envision it in the future. And the first 3 paragraphs, I think we don't even mention blockchain at all. We rather want to excite the people about like what's the possibility and what we can do. And then only later we explain how blockchain is basically the perfect technology in order to make this happen. And yeah, I think this makes things a bit easier because I think some people actually just like, yeah, stop listening once they hear crypto Web3. But like going from this more like from the vision perspective, it definitely helps. And I think on the other end, we also built the game in a way where you don't need to know any Web3 knowledge. You basically click on a link or download the app and you are in the game instantly. You start playing. And one of our also part of our mission is basically to teach people Web3 through games. So we think that everything is more easy once you have fun with it, and also the more willing you are more willing to stay and to go through this learning experience if you have fun. So we want to hook the players into a great game loop, and then we slowly introduce them to Web3 features like the trading, liquidity pools, and all of these things. And we in the past had already multiple people in the community that are probably more than just that I know of, but like some examples where they watched an ad on Facebook, saw our game, went to our game, had fun with the game, and then saw like, okay, there's some Web3 mechanics in there. We still make it easy for them. As I said, we invested a lot in smart wallet technology, so they can already make use of this Web3 technologies, although they not need to know like, okay, how to set up a wallet and so on. But often they get then very curious, and so this one person I always refer to, which is Katan, a huge shout out to him. He then basically went to our Discord and our community, basically told him and explained to him like what Web3 is about, how to set up a wallet on his own, how to do trades, and how to buy one of our NFTs. And by now he's our, I would say, most engaged, loyal community member that we have. He is one of the biggest holders of our NFTs, and also buying into other NFTs and projects now that we are partnering with. So yeah, that's exactly this experience we want to replicate more often, and this way I think we can also get the mass market more excited about Web3.
I think that was like one of the best examples you could have taken to show how Web3 could and is onboarding normies, people who are not in Web3 right now, traditional, that are like traditional sense of every industry basically. Just like now, to wrap it up, right? Think of yourself as just a gamer, not the co-founder, and you're not like an insider of Craft World. Why should you, or why should a friend of yours play like Craft World right now? I mean, what's the best things about the game, and then maybe some of the things that you don't like at the moment but you're gonna focus on in the future?
Yeah, I mean it's easy. You get in there, you can start playing. I think the core loop is very fun. You basically get very hooked into starting your mines, starting your factories, upgrading them, producing more resources. I think that's a very engaging, hooking core loop. I think then the community aspect of it, that you work together also with the community on building up buildings together, seeing that you're not alone, that it's part of it. And then also, I think me personally as a gamer, I like this strategic options that I have, and by making all the resources tradable, it basically offers so many opportunities on how I can play the game. I can speculate on certain price movements inside the economy. I can specialize on one thing or the other, and I think that's a bit of the beauty also about Web3. It like just by having these things on chain, it gives you so many more opportunities, and that's something I enjoy a lot. And what we definitely need to improve is the long-term fun aspect of the game. As I said, we have a very good core loop, and we invested a lot into the onboarding experiences and trading. And everything is smooth, but we haven't invested so much into the meta game where you can basically build out more things around it. And that's what we are now doing with the player base coming soon, with all the other Era 3.1 features that we're planning to do. And like from our ideas that we have, I think once they become reality, the Era 3.1, I think it will be a whole different game, and basically also more fun for the very long term.
Perfect. I mean, thank you again, Oliver. It was amazing having you today. And
Yeah,
the
thank
discussion
you guys.
was super insightful. And I mean, I think this was one of the episodes with the most alpha, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully.
All right, then we wish you an amazing day ahead and look forward to having you again sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It really was a lot of alpha in this episode.
It was amazing. We always say it was amazing. But yeah, I'm super thankful for Oliver.
Yeah.
And as a human being, I'm not talking about the game right now. Let's focus on Oliver.
Yeah.
He was the first one to actually support us in our episodes. I mean, the pilot was okay. We had all of those technical difficulties, but then we dropped the Web3 game episode. He was all in. I mean, quote, retweet, commented, watched the full thing, texted me. I mean, that's the support Web3 projects should do towards other Web3 projects.
Yeah.
But, and again, I'm also excited about Craftwell. Really. He just gave us some alpha that I wonder if they're gonna make it like Clash of Clans, where you can attack other villages. Because they have this whole lore in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the meteor destroyed all life on Earth, and then the dinosaurs trying to rekindle life, and this and that. What if, like, at Era 5, let's say, because right now they're at 3.1, at Era 5, they just make it like a whole full-blown war just happens, and like Angry Dynomites with Shell Dynamites. Dynamites.
Yeah. If that happens, then people will say you had a lot of alpha.
I mean, if they listen to this in the end and they say, okay, we're doing that, I want a compensation. I mean, I want like 20% of the token supply or some shit. I don't know. But yeah.
What about a cheeseburger?
What about it?
Would you be satisfied with that?
Yeah, I mean, everything works, man. Fucking hell. Haven't had food in a while.
That's Web3 for you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Make sure to check the game out. I've been playing it even before the mainnet last year. I've been playing it now as well. It's really fun. I mean, probably one of the best idle games in the market right now. Not Web3, in the market, as in the whole iOS App Store or like fucking Android Google Play. It's amazing. We love you and see you in the next episode.